All right. Good afternoon, Thailand and Mark. Welcome on board. You are taking part of this last and hard panel because it's all about payments now. But before we start the conversation, let's do a quick introduction. You can introduce yourself. Maybe you can start, Mark.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. So good afternoon or good morning, everyone. I'm Mark Padrosa. I'm the industry director here at Cantox. I'm leading basically the vertical of travel because we at Cantox, we are not just working into the travel industry. I will go a bit more in detail on what we do. And basically my job consists on bringing some clients into Cantox, clients being OTAs, tour operators, bed banks, all kind of travel players, basically with the goal of automating the currency management, helping them using currencies as a competitive advantage for their business.
Mark, a quick question. Is there a way that I can book an hotel, for example, I don't know, in Latin America, pay less, get the conversion in a way that I save money. I know there's some trick that I can save money through cantons.
Look, if you want, as you know, if you want to book an hotel, you have many ways to do it, no? But what we see at Cantox is that, for example, the OTAs are more tech driven than hotel chains. Even hotel chains want to increase conversion. If you want to go to Latin America, usually, even if the hotel chain is from Spain, you will need to pay in US dollars or in Brazilian real or in the currency of the property, not in the currency of the client. And that's that's one of the opportunities that we are seeing at Cantox with
So
hotel
paying
chains.
in dollar for me means saving money at that time, right?
At the end, if you are euro based, you want to pay in your currency, right? In your local currency. So what the hotel chains are doing now, they are basically taking a property approach instead of taking a client approach. And what we see in the other side is that the OTAs usually they are more tech driven and they are taking into account the client, and they allow you to pay in your currency, and therefore they usually increase more conversions than the direct sales in hotel chains.
It's really a world apart payments gateway and currency exchange and how many money are floating, in the air and how many money are going
But I
somewhere we
think
don't
that
know.
here, Mark, there is.
Mark, you are getting frozen. I think today your connectivity is not helping you, my friend. In the meanwhile, let's do this. Thailand, make your introduction. Tell us who you are, your company.
Sure. Hi, everybody. Hi, Enzo. Hi, Mark. So I'm one of the co-founders of PayPark. Before PayPark, I worked for the company Troublegate, which Anna very nicely gave you guys a detailed explanation of what Troublegate is. So I was in charge of the integrations with payment providers there, and then we started PayPark about over 2 years ago now as a startup. And so what we do is we offer a unique electronic payments platform, that has been specifically designed for the travel industry. We're not a payment company, we're not a payment gateway kind of offering lots of solutions and then also doing travel. We're very much serving to a niche need, which is the B2B travel market. So our unique value is basically we connect the booking flow to the payment flow. So we take the booking data and we tell the payment company what to do with it, which I can dive deeper later in the webinar.
Sure. Yeah, this is actually really, we were joking, but it's true that this is a very delicate aspect because it's curious to understand how the entire travel industry is managing this particular aspect and especially how the payments method has evolved. And I can tell you that I'm in this industry now since 20 years. In the last 2 years in particular, this particular topic was raised so much. And I see also a lot of technology players around payment gateway. I'm still getting confusing on that because at the end of the day, I book something and I pay. We don't know exactly what is the engine behind, what is the technology around that. But I'm curious to understand, how these payment methods has evolved during, let's say, the last 10, 20 years. Mark.
Yes. What we see is that this there has been a fintech boom, no? And there has been a lot of new companies created under this fintech umbrella, which is huge, as you were saying, Enzo. And this is not easy to understand all the different payment companies that we have in the value chain. But one of the reasons that a lot of companies have evolved is, I think, is because also there has been a bet from the venture capitalists and the big funds to bet on these kind of companies, because there is a lot to be done here still. And also with these new payment methods and this new, call it Web3 crypto context that we are moving into, there has been even more and more new payment methods. For me, one of the key things during the last 2 years that were definitely an inflection point, it was the creation by Booking. I don't know if I guess you know, guys, of a fintech unit. So Booking hired 400 people just to create a fintech unit. So Booking is not just an OTA anymore.
Are you talking about Booking.com, right?
Booking.com, yeah. Sorry,
Yeah.
we know them. So the biggest OTA, or one of the biggest OTA in the world, is creating a fintech unit of 400 persons, 400 people. So this means something already, right? They usually are. They are not definitely silly guys. So this is, for me, this is important because they are basically one of the leaders. They are leading the way, and they have seen something here. They have seen an opportunity. Okay, so this is what I see here is that if the other companies are not following on Booking.com and they are not adapting on these payment methodologies and they don't understand the payment processes of their clients and suppliers, they will not be in a very good position because the pressure is high here.
Sure. What's your point, Thailand, on that?
I think
yeah.
I think Mark made a great point on the fintech revolution going on now. It kind of pushed all the companies to adopt one or other new technology, especially in terms of visual payments. But I think the key thing here is it's difficult to say, especially on the B2B side, it's difficult to say what happened recently. But I think what is more to come, because we always talk about how the pandemic pushed the travel executives to do new things and adapt but to be honest, we've seen more things going on the B2C side. On B2B, people discovered amazing products like Contox, for example, which existed even before COVID, but then the people started looking to save smaller margins, and they realized the hidden cost. Like, people suddenly became even more tech savvy. But in terms of new methods, I think, as Mark said, together with this fintech boom, I think we will see a lot of new things coming in, because to be honest, yes, again, because Booking.com and Expedia pushed the virtual credit cards a lot, and but that was an existing solution anyway before. So we saw all these things going towards more virtual payments, but we didn't see lots of new players, new inventions coming to the market, to be honest. So yeah, I think the upcoming years will be more exciting in that sense.
Exactly.
I agree. Yeah.
Here, if I may, Enzo, we are seeing associations and companies like, for example, Hedna, okay, and that they are pushing quite a lot on creating this standard of B2B payments, along with companies like PayPark, Voxel, and so on, because we need to make things easier for everyone in order to understand what is happening during all this payment value chain. And I have to say that these industry associations are doing a great job on trying to simplify and in trying to standardize all this. And at the end, we'll see how it ends, but we are starting to see a bit the light at the end of the tunnel on which payment methodologies and which payment alternative will be the ones leading or winning at the end.
Yeah, it's actually what actually Fabian was asking and commenting here. Do you think payment via bank transfer for the daily transaction, the travel industry, is going to disappear and everything is going to be done via wallets and VCC? I think so. I will say, of course, there will be still some niche markets, niche players that are using a different approach. But on the overall revenue share, I don't think this is going to be impacting a lot. What do you think, Mark? Are you
I think
back?
I think here I don't think that the typical wire transfer will disappear because it's commonly used, and I don't think this will ever disappear. Because one of the things that I see is that yes, the virtual credit cards are going to increase. This I think this is already a thing. Even on new payment methods and new alternative like the wallet, like PayPark, as I was mentioning before, even the bank transfer guarantees. We are seeing many new technologies and new payment methods, but the wire transfer, what allows you and what allows the hotelier is a bit, if you have already the trust with your client, it's a cheaper option. It's a cheaper option
Of course,
for the
of course.
moment, and this trust needs to be built. And if you have already this trust with your client, I don't think this is going to change, because there are not many other alternatives that can be cheaper than a wire transfer for the moment.
Okay.
Especially if both companies are located in the same continent, that's also what we see, kind of a bit like a resistance from CFOs of the big companies at PayPark when we try to, explain them our solution, because the problem there is that if we're talking about large companies and large amounts of money transfer, they usually want to have the control. Like, they like the idea of okay, I owe you 200K, Enzo, but I'll send it to you next week. Instead of just making everything API based, and whenever you have the booking confirmation and the money goes out from your wallet to another, which is what we try to do. It's most of the time if the buyer and sellers are large companies. If one is smaller, then it makes more sense, because then you're kind of automating the whole thing. But if I owe you 200 and you owe me 300, because as you know, the B2B travel is also a bit like a jungle. Everybody's selling, everybody's buying. Then still they like the idea of having full control and do the bank wire.
Yeah, but we are in the technology space, guys. So which are the main challenge and hidden risk within this taking and making payments process? There are risks, there are technical issue. What happened? Tell us the bad part. Come on.
I think the bad part is I don't know what you think, Mark, but I think the reconciliation is definitely a huge issue. I mean, big companies, big wholesalers, big bad banks, they have the whole departments, 10, 15, 20 people just sitting there and doing the accounting and reconciliation of booking against this payment that they received as one large amount, instead of, and then of course, if you have a dispute, it's a mess. If you have a cancellation, if you have a modification of that booking, it's a mess. So yeah, I mean, what we try to achieve is, if we have one booking and then you have one payment, that's more or less what the virtual cards do. And at PayPark, what we try to achieve is we do the exact same technical flow, but without the card in between. We just go to your wallet, take the money, put from one side to another. Basically, automation. I think that's the key there. And so,
exactly.
Mark?
Yeah, automation is the mother of everything, right? I mean, we use this word a lot, but at the end is key, no? In terms of reconciliation, in terms of invoice reconciliation, settlement reconciliation, and so on. One risk that sometimes is hidden, and we at Cantox, we are experts at seeing it, is the risk, the FX risk, the currency risk, usually when there is a cross currency, right? This is something that sometimes is not tackled and can harm a bit or a lot the margins of some companies, especially in the B2B distribution side of the business, where the margins are so tight. So when I talk about risk, because when we talk about risk, we are focusing usually at the settlement moment. What is happening when the payment is coming or when the payment needs to be done, right? But the risk starts when the booking was sold, because usually in the B2B you don't pay at the moment of the booking. Usually you have some payment terms with your suppliers. And what we try to do is automate, as I was mentioning before, the whole process from the moment of the booking until the moment of the payment or the collection when there is a cross-currency booking. Even if you have to pay to a BCC, okay? Even if you have to fund a BCC, or even if you have to pay to your hotelier. But if this risk, which can be 90 days risk, is not tackled, maybe you have lost 50% of your margin. And sometimes this is hidden and is not well seen inside the currency, I would say, life of a booking.
Yeah, I see. Mark, you want to add something?
Yeah, I mean, I was taking some notes here because Mark has highlighted trust as a big issue, and then Thailand also talking about reconciliation and automation. So to me, this is the perfect scenario for blockchain technology. What's your take on that? Because I mean, to me, I'm not an expert, but to me, blockchain solves part of or whole most of those issues, right? So what's your feeling on that? Is there any interesting project that you're working on that direction?
Yes, go.
So sorry, Mark. For us, it's definitely on the table in the coming versions of PayPark, Mark. And I wouldn't say so much like advanced kind of blockchain technology, but even very simple smart contract is extremely useful, as you also mentioned. What I mean by smart contract is basically you're matching the booking data to the payment data, and then once these two just basically mapped and matched, then you have a smart contract that both parties need to comply with. So it's definitely something on the table. We do it with the technology right now without using the blockchain, but you're definitely right that would be I think 10 times better by using the blockchain technology. At least there. I'm sure there are lots of other areas that you can apply blockchain in the payments, but at least in terms of reconciliation, in terms of confirming booking so that the payment can be initiated immediately after a smart contract is already a useful tool.
Yes, what I see here is that precisely the travel industry can be one of the first adopters of blockchain technology, because there is a clear need on this. I'm not an expert on blockchain, I have to say, just disclaiming, but I would say I'm a fan of blockchain technology. I'm not much fan of crypto. Okay, so we need to decouple a bit these two terms that sometimes are, of course, related together. If we start introducing currencies and cryptocurrencies in the payment methods and in these payments that we do between B2B players or even B2C, I don't think that cryptos will be a payment method per se, but I see some coins like stable coins as potential payment methods and potential currencies in the blockchain technology. What I don't foresee is, for example, people paying in Bitcoin. This is my own opinion, of course, paying in Bitcoin for traveling into for paying inside the OTA. I see a lot of, I would say, marketing from the OTAs saying, "Hey, we accept Bitcoin, but I would like to see what percentage of their bookings are sold on Bitcoin," right? So one of the reasons that I'm saying this is because Bitcoin is super volatile, and I don't. We need to be aware about this, and I don't see someone paying something that today is 10% cheaper than tomorrow and the other way around. So
Gotcha.
Absolutely. I think that you made it really, really clear, that you need to separate crypto from blockchain. Whereas crypto, I have to agree with you that I don't see, apart from the stable coins, which is kind of a subversion of the current crypto currency landscape. Okay, but I do see definitely a really good opportunity when it comes to, at the end, sustaining trust somehow. Smart contracts, what that they're doing is that they are setting the rules, okay, and they don't allow anyone to miss their part, okay. And I think this is the best way to ensure trust from players, especially on B2B. Yeah.
Exactly.
Let's do this, Mark and Thailand. Let's get to understand a little bit more about your value proposition. Do you have prepared some slide to explain and give us a product pitch of your company?
Sure. You want to start, Mark?
No, go ahead, Thailand.
Let's start with Thailand.
All right. Let me.
So we can understand this mechanism, this engine of payments that no one likes to pay in the world, but at the end they have to now and use those blockchain, bitcoins. Oof, it's creating a lot of friction. People doesn't want to pay, we make friction.
Wait a second. I can only share my whole screen, so I will.
Are you using slides? What are you currently?
Yeah, I have a slide, but it doesn't let me to share only the slide. It does the full page. So
in the meantime, Mark, you can prepare also your sharing screen.
Sure.
Pedrosa. So in this way, in the meantime, Thailand is preparing a slide.
Okay, share screen.
I don't see anything so far. Yes, Thailand.
You see it now?
I don't see anything. I see an empty.
Wait a second.
Pedrosa?
It says that it's sharing.
You want to try?
As you wish, I can try. Yeah.
Yeah, please. Because otherwise, we.
Yep. Can you see?
Yes, I see your slide.
Awesome. So let me put this full screen. Let me. Can you see, right?
Yep.
Awesome. So Cantox, what we do? Cantox is a currency management automation software. Okay, basically what we try to do is to manage the end-to-end of the cross-currency transactions that are happening in the different industries. We are not, as I was saying before, we are not just working in the travel industry, even it's our biggest, it's our main vertical here at Cantox. And we are part, for example, of IATA. We are the first FX supplier that is part of IATA. And we are helping them identify different challenges that we find in the money journey inside the airline industry. Then we are backed by VCs. We have raised some money, and we have some investors that you can see here in the web page. Also, we are software, but we can also be the financial part. We have the two ways of working, just as a software or as a software plus liquidity provider. I will explain you now what does this mean. So basically, as an introduction, as we were mentioning before, the travel payments and the travel industry chain is super complex, okay? And what we see is that the travel players are keeping or are leaving away the managing of the currencies because they see it more as a problem than as an opportunity, right? And some businesses react with fear. And when I talk with the CFO, they try to tell me, look, Mark, currency is not for me. This is not our problem. Let's leave it for the client, or let's leave it for the supplier. I'm just talking one language, which is euro, okay? And then we have the other side of the coin, that is those that see an opportunity on currencies. Same as we were talking about payments, that if managed well, they can be an opportunity. Why? Because you can sell more if you sell in the currency of your client, and you can purchase better if you purchase in the currency of your supplier. At the end, is quite easy math, no? What is not easy is to manage, and that's when Cantox comes in. So, just for you to know, this is an example, okay, of the different risks that we find in a cross-currency booking. This is just an example. The first one is the pricing risk, okay, that we can call also competitiveness risk. And if basically this means that if you don't update your prices often or in a dynamic way, you can be out of the market, right? that's why we are seeing that the catalog business or the typical tour operators are kind of disappearing of this fixed pricing. They are turning into more dynamic businesses. We are seeing online businesses are getting their sales. Okay, this is the competitive risk that we first tackle. The second one is the operational or transactional risk, okay, which is from the moment of the booking until the moment of the payment. If you sell in euros and you need to buy in US dollars, if you don't pay today and if you pay in 90 days, there is a risk that needs to be tackled. So this is the most important risk that we tackle, and what we do is we try to secure the margins. And the other two basically is if you sell in different currencies, and the last one, this account FX gain and loss, is more an accounting thing. Okay, but what we will focus on what our solution focus on is in this operational FX risk that tries to guarantee the margin of every transaction independently on the currency fluctuations. Okay, what are the different points in time that we try to get in? The first is we can be the source of this pricing, this exchange rate used by price your products. Okay, the second one, of course, we need to receive the information, the booking information, in order to hedge this risk that I was mentioning before. This booking information can be sent through a channel manager, the booking engine, a third-party booking engine as Juniper that we have connections to, or the booking engine or the data source, the data lake of the client. Then we start executing forward contracts with an FX policy that is defined by the CFO or the Treasury Department of the team in order to manage the risk. And then we do the payment. This payment can be done to a BCC to fund, for example, a virtual credit card supplier like Kinet, Ixaris, WEX, or can be done directly to the hotel or to the supplier if it's a B2B supplier and we need to pay to, for example, a bed bank or wholesaler. Okay, or we can even send the money to the same client account. The idea here is to manage and control the FX risk. How do we do this? In 3 different solutions. The first one is the dynamic pricing. This is an API, is a rate feeder, which is smart and basically give you updates on exchange rates in order for you to be always competitive and be on top. What we are seeing is that a lot of, for example, bed banks that they can have a 2% margin, they are updating their pricing once a day. And what we are doing with them is saying, instead of doing it once a day, do it once it makes sense for the business, which can be if the currency fluctuates at 0.5%, and then they update the price, correct? And the other way around, an hotel chain maybe wants more stability on their pricing. Why are you updating the prices once a day? Me, as an individual, I want to see stability on the pricing. And maybe with this, we will convert more. Then the second solution, and the most important one, is the dynamic hedging, which is basically the tool that helps manage the FX risk and control the FX margins. And then the payments and collections, that we can be the liquidity provider and doing the payments, as I was mentioning before, to the BCC or basically to your suppliers. The idea of all of this is once we have the FX risk under control, we leverage currencies in our advantage, and we always try to contract in the most cheapest currency and to sell in the most profitable currency. Usually these ones are the currency of the client and the currency of the supplier. And this is why this can only be done once we have the FX risk under control. That's why we say always, Cantox is not just a financial tool, is part of the strategic core of the business, and we help them, as I was mentioning before, increase bookings because of currencies, protect margins. We unlock a lot of growth opportunities if they want to start selling or start entering into new markets, and we have seen a lot of gains in competitiveness because not many players inside the industry are managing currencies really well. And again, we usually sell it as more as a weapon, if I could say, than as something to defend from. So the idea is to use it and to leverage the tool, and
Cool.
And that's all.
What are your primarily marketing, markets, your clients? Where
are our clients from?
Yeah.
Basically all around the globe. for example, inside the travel industry chain, our main clients would be the wholesalers. Even we work with many OTAs also and tour operators, but wholesalers, why? Because they have millions of transactions, they have super tight margins, and they cannot allow a small currency fluctuation to harm their margins. So this is where we provide the most value. And then, of course, as I was saying, OTAs, tour operators, hotel chains. Okay, and to the hotel chain, what I tell to the hotel chain is, look, if you want to increase conversions, start selling in the currency of your client. You are spending millions in marketing, but when I go to your website, I have to pay in US dollars, and I'm from Europe, and you are in a Spanish hotel chain. Doesn't make any sense, right? So these kind of things is what we do with hotel chains. Cool. Also.
Right. Thanks, Mark. Thailand.
Let's try again.
I think you have to pull up the slides. It's because maybe you are using one display only, right?
Yeah, I mean, it shows me on my screen that it's being shared, but you don't see anything, right?
No.
Wait a second. Let's try another file. Okay, just a second.
In the meantime, Mark Armengol, do you have any question for Pedrosa? I'm mixing names here.
Sorry, I was muted. No, I think that what Mark Pedrosa is raising is something, as he was said, is a kind of a hidden cost. Okay, and myself, from my own experience, I know that currency is kind of a headache, especially for wholesalers. Okay, and sometimes it's something that actually they don't take it as an opportunity to increase to increase revenue. At the end, it's kind of a way to improve your rate competitiveness. Okay, and I think it's a great tool. I mean, it's a great tool, and definitely I think that there's a lot of room to grow into this industry. Not only in terms of hotels, okay, because it's an industry that is used to work with different currencies, okay, payments on different areas of the world, so it has a lot of exchange risk. So I think it's an amazing approach.
Cool. Thailand.
Yeah, I think I fixed it. Wait a second.
Maybe you are uploading on Drive the slides. So
I just put it on the tab. At least one slide.
Perfect.
Do you see now?
I see. Yes.
Okay.
I see that.
Okay. At least I have this. So I will make it really quick. So, the whole idea behind PayPark is to fully automate the whole payment stream, streamline the whole payment flow here. I mean, when we first started, we were really surprised that travel industry is so incredibly advanced in technology. Everything is done via API integrations in milliseconds. But when it comes to the payments, as you also mentioned, Enzo, the bank wires are still a reality. So it was it's surprising that these two just not go together. So of course there are visual cards, which are the dominant method right now, and these are great tools. But it still requires some kind of card data storage, charging to those cards, which is still mostly done manually, and therefore there are still some errors. And these cards are generated uniquely for single use, so it's difficult to do deferred payments for some time in the future, or it's difficult to do split payments, to make two payments from one in different dates. So there are some definitely inefficiencies that still needs to be improved. And that's the reason why that's the gap that we're filling with PayPark here. So on this slide, you see basically on the upper part is the booking flow, and the below is just in parallel we do the payment. So instead of you generate a card and pass to your provider, we basically go to your wallet and then take the corresponding amount and pass it to your provider's wallet. So that's done instantaneously. There's absolutely no manual intervention. Everything is done via API integration, and none of the parties need to do anything manually to move the funds. And the biggest value here is apart from the automation, it's automated also in terms of the cancellation policies and payment terms. So there can be a rate as sophisticated as 10% today, 20% tomorrow, 70% 3 days after checkout. Then we just take this data, and again, nobody needs to touch anything. We just do this 3 payments in 3 different splits. So that's kind of the biggest value we add. So it's a bit like, you take a Uber, and then because your card details in the application in the app already, so you just take this ride, and then you don't need to make any payments. Everything is done digitally, behind the scenes. So there's absolutely no manual intervention. So that's the seamless experience that we bring to the travel industry, basically. I will also share my screen to show you what the platform looks like. Let's see if it works this time.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is basically, it looks a bit like an online banking, but the beauty of this is that you can see all your bookings and transactions in one place, and it's only here for information purposes. You cannot go to one of your wallets, let's say in euro, and then pass 500 euros to your provider. It only works together with the booking flow. So as long as we receive via API,
it's only aggregating contents and data. You can just view the data.
Exactly. So exactly, you can send money to your wallets, and then you see your balances here, and you receive, and then you see all your payments, you see all your upcoming payments. Okay. So basically, it's here for information purposes and for reporting purposes, but everything else is just moved automatically.
Amazing, cool. All right, so guys, that was the last panel of the last day. I'm really feeling like a little bit sorry. We are ending those 3 hard days. My colleague Mark was in the middle of a lot of stuff yesterday. Sorry, you had some technical issue with the connectivity. But Mark, your last words, Armengol. What was your thoughts about those 3 days?
I mean, about the 3 days, I think it's been probably each topic has enough content, especially, when we have a panel like the one we just had, okay, where that you realize that for every specific topic, there's a really, really deep content, okay? Yeah. So, and I think that, to me, we should do it more often, okay, because I think that there's been a great takeaways from those 3 days. And I'm really, really happy to schedule. And we are looking for the new session. So yeah, really, really happy about it.
All right. Thanks, Mark. All right, Thailand, Pedrosa. I call Pedrosa just because there are 2 Mark here and we don't get confused. So thank you again for joining us. You are on mute. And I'm sure that we will make more events in the coming months. So we are planning more activities. And of course, payment is becoming a very hot topic. I'm sure that you will be our guest again soon. So let's keep in touch. And thank you again for having time to stay with us today. Thank you, everyone, and have a nice evening.
Thank you for having us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.